Yeah.
What would I do if a homeless person came and tried to hug me? Would I be like, oh, yeah, okay, side hug. I need to go take a shower right away. Like, you know what I mean? I really had to confront that. Generosity is like a muscle.
Yep.
It's like you going to the gym, you know, and if you don't train up your generosity muscles, what happens is you get absorbed naturally by your self-loving narcissism because you're spending all your time on the phone.
Yeah, and you're focusing on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to our name, SALT Collectiv. SALT is literally to preserve.
Right.
We want to preserve the forgotten and to let these people know the world has not forgotten about you.
Yeah.
We are here and we care for you.
People around me, my friends, my parents, other adults.
It's that FOMO kicking in.
That's one way for positive,
it's real.
Positive FOMO.
From social media,
Yeah. All right, guys, welcome back again to FUNDAY Chat. This is our second episode with our first male guest.
Yes. New shirt, wardrobe change.
And what is your name?
James.
James. All right. So this is literally our connection. James and I know each other through SALT. And go ahead and tell us, what is SALT?
So SALT Collectiv is a nonprofit here in Taiwan. And so our whole thing is getting people to volunteer. And our audience is mainly English speakers because we realize that there's a huge gap. A lot of English speakers, whether you're an expat, ABC, you know, some people are travelers, bright scholar, kind of like program people. Like a lot of times people come in Taiwan and they come from a culture where they're used to volunteering.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, I grew up in the States and I'm used to just serving at soup kitchens and those things. When I came to Taiwan, you know, one of the biggest pain points people face is they don't have anywhere to go to volunteer.
Not to say that there isn't any groups, right? They are.
There are. There's a lot, but it's just not a good fit.
Okay.
You know, because Taiwanese culture, a lot of these nonprofits, you know, they see, you know, a white dude that just pops out of nowhere.
Right.
And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know you.
We don't know you. You don't know them.
Who are you? Like, and so I hear about all these experiences where people literally, let's say, find, you know, a place to go to volunteer and then they were not welcomed.
I see.
And so because of that, they get discouraged.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, you know, like first there's a language barrier, then there's a culture barrier.
Yes.
And so all these things together, it just became a frustration for a lot of Westerners.
Okay.
And they stopped volunteering.
Yeah,
and so SALT
sad.
Collectiv is a platform where we give all the English speakers, and also, you know, a lot of the volunteers are also Taiwanese too.
Yeah, it's not exclusive
we're not exclusive,
to,
but it at least has that kind of, you know, Western vibe.
Gotcha.
And that culture, that kind of, you know, warmness that we do welcome strangers and make them, you know, even if you know, show up by yourself on a Saturday morning, everyone's going to welcome you, get to know you.
Yeah.
And so they feel more comfortable. And that's kind of become our particular niche here in Taiwan.
That's honestly what you described is exactly what I felt. And I was also invited through another mutual friend of ours, Adri. Shout out to Adri.
Shout out to Adri.
Who actually started, I think, her own, you know, little nonprofit thing in Canada.
I would love to share about that later on.
So excited for her. But I remember, you know, we just had friends said, hey, you know, if you want, we have this nonprofit and we'll cover basically what we do. But the event I joined was, I believe, a beach cleanup at first. And so I love the ocean, for those of you who don't know. And
I think everyone knows.
James, you can tell the people, what's the nickname you gave me here?
So this guy right now in front of me is like a specialist. Now, let me first talk about it. He's a specialist when it comes to removing nets at beach cleanups. And I'm talking about nets that are literally like sunk in, probably like 20 feet in, and you just cannot. Like I've tried, and I think I'm a pretty strong dude, and I cannot do it. And somehow this guy can rally a team together.
With a team, exactly.
And get it out. And so I've been so impressed. And so I actually penned him the name, gave him the nickname, the net catcher.
The net catcher. Thank you. Thank you. I wear that name proudly.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so
shout out to Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy. If you haven't seen it, I can talk about it for like the next 30 minutes, but I won't bore you guys with that. But essentially, that's the event that I remember meeting James at, right? I met you at that event. We talked a little more. I'm sure I shared about Seaspiracy the first time I met you.
I think you shared it like 20 times.
Yeah, and essentially, I think like, you know, experiencing what you just described, that connection where I think in a Western mindset, it's easier to kind of just be welcoming and receiving people from different backgrounds. And for us, many of us being expats or ABCs, I think we connect because we're very like-minded.
Yeah.
And so that was easy and a great way to connect with people and community. And so later on, obviously, a few years now, I've been connected with you guys, and
now this guy is part of our SALT Core Plus team. And is our MC host for all our events.
Right.
And so, and the leader now for that same beach cleanup he actually first started.
Yeah, if you guys come over, you'll see me there.
Yeah.
But tell me about the genesis, because I believe it was you and Andrew. Shout out to our other friend, Andrew, that started this, right?
Yeah, we started this about, I would say, I think it's been probably like 5-6 years now.
Yes.
And when we first started, literally, it was just, like I was at a missions trip abroad with my church in Hungary. And we were there to serve literally the most marginalized, the poorest people in the world, known as the Roma gypsies.
Okay.
And so these guys literally live almost like in a village where it's just one road and they live on the side of the road. And I'm talking about people that don't even have pictures in their homes. And so we went out there, showed them love, and really kind of did a lot of things.
Yeah.
And while I was there, I kind of was talking to Andrew, and I was like, man, we had to travel all the way out here, like a 20-hour flight, switch like 2-3 times, another like 3-4 hour car ride.
Right.
And then we had to raise money. So we had to raise like 70,000 NT each person.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm pretty lucky I can do this.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in Taiwan, my friends, who would love to be doing this, but they cannot.
Yeah.
So why don't we bring this back? Bring this back to Taiwan. And that was literally kind of like the idea, the genesis of it.
Yeah.
And then we came back and we did that. And all we did is we messaged the group chat that went to Hungary and said, hey guys, we enjoyed the trip. Now we're back. We want to start going to a SALT kitchen and to serve to the homeless. Who wants to come? And then literally like 5 people say, hey, I'm in. And then we started with 5 people.
Wow.
And then we started with 5 people, started going to a soup kitchen and started serving there.
Like somebody else's?
Yeah, somebody else's.
Okay.
And then, a friend recommended, and then we started going there and built trust and did that for a couple of years. And the funny thing is that the group with 5 people in 1 year's time turned into 100 people.
Wow.
That group chat just went from 5 to 100. And we didn't do any advertisement. It was just like
organic.
People just kept saying like, hey, can I add my friend in here? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Everyone just started adding their friends.
That's actually awesome to see how many people have a heart to serve.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the idea is, for SALT Collectiv is I really believe that fundamentally people have the generosity and the love inside all of us. And I just think that in today's world, a lot of that heart is being, taken away by narcissism, by social media, by, like taking selfies and just keep looking at yourself and then, fixing your photoshopping your picture for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a girl at a swimming pool literally like take pictures for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you here to enjoy yourself or are you just here to take pictures? So that kind of toxicity is what's kind of taking our attention.
Right.
And it's these companies that are benefiting, the social media companies.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with generosity is it's inside everybody. And then when you do it, when you come experience, and I tell everybody this, I want everyone in Taiwan to come to our SALT kitchen and to experience handing a bento box to a homeless person and just to feel that.
Yeah.
Just once. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start becoming aware, holy smokes, I didn't know there were homeless people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I was like, how many of us have gone to Taipei main station? Everybody raised their hands. How many of you guys actually knew there was a bunch of homeless people here? I kind of saw them. Not really. I didn't even know. That's what I usually get.
Yeah.
And you come with us once and you experience it. You see where they are. You see how they live.
And you see how many people actually there are.
You see the cardboard boxes they live in.
Right.
And then handing them a bento to see the appreciation, to see the shame.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just very shameful of being homeless. And when you give them that bento box, they just look at you. They can't look. They just feel like, I had one guy this last weekend. He was literally like, I'm not homeless. And the one thing we try to honor them is we never mention the word homeless.
Yeah.
When we give them the bento, we always say, have you eaten? And this guy at first, he had so much pride. He was like, I'm not homeless.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, straight in the eye and I said, oh, no. I just asked if you eaten.
Yeah.
And then obviously he was homeless.
Sure.
You see his nails, you see,
Yeah. You could
and
tell.
so I just said, oh, no. I just asked, have you eaten?
Yeah.
And he said, he didn't say, he just kind of like went like this.
Yeah.
And when you put the bento down, he was like, yeah,
Yeah, I needed that.
He
probably.
needed that. Exactly. And so, that's also the culture. We're going back to the culture.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to build a culture here for expats, for English speakers here in Taiwan, to transform and give them an opportunity and to give back to Taiwan.
Yeah.
And we start with the homeless. That's one of our core demographics.
That's good, really good, because even while I was spending some of my time in the States during college and stuff, we also did like homeless ministry. And I remember, the first time interacting with the homeless, it's not an easy thing to kind of experience because I think there's so many things that's wrapped up. And again, like you're saying, we're becoming a more self-focused culture. And so you're like, oh, like, how could I do something like that? Like, I don't even want to associate myself. Now, of course, like, I feel like those are the extremes. Most people will just be like, you know what? They let them do their thing. If I have a little spare change, I'll help out here and there.
That's everyone's attitude.
Yeah.
But don't let me get too close to them.
Exactly.
And it's
There's
like
a
the
bit of a
movie. I
stigma.
mean, I know you guys do movie recaps.
We
it's
do
like
do
that.
recap,
It's
yeah.
like that movie Parasite. They said it perfectly. They said,
Right.
homelessness is it's like a disease. People don't want to be
Near you, yeah.
So poverty in that sense, in that movie, like that's what people were saying was, oh yeah, poverty is a disease.
Right.
So for us wealthy people, we don't want to be around that.
Yeah.
I probably don't want to, like hug a homeless person.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm afraid I'm gonna catch a disease.
Catch something.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like upfront with you right now. I co-founded SALT 5-6 years ago, and there was a point in my life where I questioned that.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's.
And I'm like, wait,
that's honesty.
I started this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm questioning.
Yep.
Like,
I think we've all been there. If
and
we're being
literally,
honest,
like,
yeah.
what would I do if a homeless person came and tried to hug me? Would I be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, side
Right.
hug. I need to go take a shower right away.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I really had to confront that.
Yeah.
And then I made a choice. And I said, I will not be, defeated by this social stigma that
Yeah.
society puts on homeless people.
Yeah.
I'm going to love on them. And if they come in for a hug, they're getting a hug.
For sure, dude.
And I don't care what the triggers are in my mind. That might be, be like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If I want to be authentic out here. And so with SALT, that's really what we try to do is
Yeah.
empower people and build this kind of community where like-minded people like yourself are joining the movement
Right.
and then putting your efforts. So, Wade actually, even makes like reels for us for our event recaps and all those things. So, people like you that actually want to, help.
Yeah. And serve, I think, in the means that you're capable of, right? Like everyone has a different strength. And you've
Exactly.
mentioned a few of mine, like, taking videos and doing MCing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think like those are other ways of serving the community. And so I just wanted to just clarify for people, what SALT sort of is about. I think the main focus, we serve the marginalized, correct?
Yep,
and
that's correct.
One of the biggest focus points in the ministry is homeless ministry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Homeless and then orphanages.
Orphanages as well. Yeah. And I guess with orphanages, if you want to touch on that really quickly, I think that's a little more sensitive, right?
It's very
when it comes to the
sensitive,
kids.
because in Taiwan, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but actually a lot of the orphans in Taiwan, the kids living in the orphanages are not actual orphans.
Okay. What does that mean?
So it's actually a good
They
thing
have
for
parents.
Taiwan. They actually, a lot of them actually do have parents.
Okay.
But they're actually what they really are, domestic violence
I see.
victims.
Gotcha.
And
So they're taken away from the
yes,
house?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why it's sensitive, because
Yeah.
sometimes, so when they take some of these kids away, the parents don't really know where. So this is why we don't show any faces.
Right.
We don't want
Yeah.
that
You have to be
information
very
getting
careful
out.
with that.
And we also are very careful with people we filter to come and serve with us on the
Right.
orphanage
So in
side.
terms of if you wanted to volunteer, like you would have to be familiar with
Yes,
SALT.
exactly.
Because
You're
we
not
can't
gonna
just
go
let
in-
anybody.
No. You probably have to serve with us for a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you're kind of allowed to enter that.
Yeah, that space. Now, but with the SALT Kitchen, can you tell us
Anybody
a little bit more
can
about
join.
that? How
Yeah.
does that work?
So SALT
How
Kitchen is
often?
literally, we just started our own kitchen. Like we rent a kitchen and every 2 weeks, we literally buy the ingredients, run it like an actual restaurant.
Yeah.
We even had our friend Mag, shout out to Mag, who's, Michelin level chef, help curate the first menu.
Yeah.
And then Andrew, is the person behind SALT
Running
Kitchen.
it, yeah.
So running it. And so literally every 2 Saturdays, we get a bunch of people that show up. We
Right.
have chefs who get a little bit of training from us.
Right.
And then we have our actual volunteers, which is very difficult now to get a spot. We
Yeah.
have so many volunteers now.
Right, actually.
That literally, like, I think the spots go away within
lined up
an
for
hour.
a
And there's
couple
like a line
months.
for 30, usually 20, 30 people who are
Yeah.
just waiting. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And our goal is to have a SALT Kitchen every week in the future.
Right.
But, we need to raise money. We need to do a lot of things to kind of make that a reality.
Yeah.
But the goal is simple, is to give people a platform to train up their generosity muscles.
Yeah.
Because that's
good.
I like always
using
tell
it as
everybody,
a muscle.
generosity is like a muscle.
Yep.
It's like you going to the gym, you know, and if you don't train up your generosity muscles, what happens is you get absorbed naturally by your self-loving narcissism because you're spending all your time on the phone.
Yeah, and you're focusing on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not giving it out. So the antidote to that is actually giving your love away and being generous. And that's basically what we're trying to do. We're like a gym, you know, for your soul.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's usually hard at first, right? It's, again, like we're mentioning, sometimes maybe breaking that barrier with the homeless.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, SALT provides a great space, and I'm sure other nonprofits do similar things, but I really appreciate SALT in terms of, let's say, a typical Saturday when we're preparing the meals, right? You have obviously people there together, and there's this whole assembly line. You have some people cooking, then you have some people prepping. But while that's all happening, community is being built.
Yes.
Because we're communicating to each other. We're asking where you're from, what's your background, like what's your connection, and it's so cool to see all these new connections being born. And
you've been there, and there's people from all over the world.
Absolutely.
Like I think the record one time I was there was like 5-6 countries.
Yeah, represented
in one room. And one thing I want to mention, you know, because I do want to bring back to that cultural side, is on the cultural side, like when we give these things to the homeless, we want to give it our love 100%.
Yeah.
And when I say that is like, you remember you go to Soul Kitchen, the notes.
Right.
We handwrite notes to give to the homeless on each bento.
Yep.
And a lot of times people go like, why are you wasting your time doing that? It's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you think it's stupid because you don't know homeless people. Now, let me ask you a question. How much interaction do you think homeless people get?
Yeah.
The reason they're marginalized, which means the world has forgotten about them.
Right.
And that kind of goes back to our name, SALT Collectiv. SALT is literally to preserve.
Right.
We want to preserve the forgotten and to let these people know the world has not forgotten about you.
Yeah.
We are here and we care for you.
Yeah.
And we are cooking a high quality, you know, like I want to say Michelin level meal.
No, it's actually really good. I've had it before.
You know, to the homeless with a handwritten note to let them know someone is out there that actually took the time to write this note to care about you.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about you. And so, you know, I think that's the thing that we're really trying to create and permeate.
Yeah.
You know, culturally speaking, taking things the values that we grew up in, and bring it to Taiwan, and then to make Taiwan a better place. That's our mission.
Yeah, that's a great mission, and I really also appreciate that. You know, we partner with different people too, and I know we also work with schools, and it's really cool to see students and parents coming together, joining one of the SALT kitchens, and seeing the kids get excited about, hey, we can prep this and tell us more about what is it like when you see them handing it out and
empowering the next generation. You know, like I've said again and again, that's what our mission, in terms of being a human being is about.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is, we work with TAS, TES, we work with Primacy Prep, Bethany, Morrison. I've given talks at all those schools.
Right.
And so the thing is, every time I tell these kids, it's like, look, guys, we want to influence you guys to work out those generosity muscles because at such a young age.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunately, most of these parents actually have conversations with me talking about, oh yeah, my kids, they're spoiled, because it's,
dude, the iPad generation.
They're spoiled. All they do is play video games. That's the most often thing I hear.
Right.
And so then, the parents, they want to get behind it. So that's the thing is because think about it, these schools that I just named, you are talking about the top 1%.
Very wealthy.
Of Taiwan. So now imagine these kids are eventually going to inherit their companies.
Right.
And you're talking about the top 1% of Taiwan. So we are putting that seed in there.
Yeah, strategic.
And to let these kids know, hey, you know what? Generosity should be part of not only your culture, but your lifestyle.
Yeah. And honestly, if they start young, it's easier for them to, because think about someone older, right? As an adult,
you're set in your way.
Yeah. You're like, I just don't do that kind of thing. But when you're a child and you see, wait, people around me, my friends, my parents, other adults.
It's that FOMO kicking in.
That's one way for positive FOMO.
From social media,
Yeah. No, but that's great. I think the reason why I continue love doing, being part of SALT and other nonprofits, just doing great work. I think it's, you see people, but you know, a lot of times, like you're saying, even just a small thing as a note or a small thing as just asking, have you eaten?
Yeah.
And more than that, I know there's times where we also have a space where we can actually interact even more with them, right? Because, you know, just giving out food is one thing, fulfilling their physical need is one thing. Yeah. But like you're saying, how many people actually pay attention to them? And if you give them a little bit of day of time, they have so many stories to share.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a beautiful word that's called SONDER. I don't know if you know what that means.
Well, I'm going to butcher some English right here, dude.
You're welcome to FUNDAY English, FUNDAY Chat. But I'm just going to give you the gist of what SONDER means. And the first time I heard this word, it was such a beautiful and profound way. Because essentially SONDER is saying that each and every person in their unique way have just as intricate of a life that they're living. That us, other people, bystanders, sometimes are just a cast, you know, just we're just a person that's like what might appear once in the window. We might just be a person walking by and appear once in their world. And every single one of us have that. Yeah. An intricate and, you know, connected way. And that makes me appreciate life so much more. You know, I think about these people and the homeless, they might not have all of that. But when we become that people, when we make ourselves available, and they can have this opportunity to share their story. Dude, there's a wealth of, there's so much, and there's wisdom actually that you can learn from them too.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. Most of us, we don't think that, right?
Yeah, we don't. And then, you know, like, to be honest, I think that's why we spend so much time and effort and money, resources for the best ingredients. Yeah. You know, we did our research. We ask them every time. You know, like, for example, we don't give them hard fruits because we did. And they say, dude, I got no teeth. Right. How can I eat that? Yeah. Don't give me an apple. Yeah. So we started doing bananas. Yeah. Started doing, you know, longyan, they like that. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. They like that. Okay. We, you know, it's like we tried Turkish food. Right. Because we had you know, shout out to Saffron Bolu. They hooked it up. Yeah. And then they were like, let's stick to the Asian food. Okay. Let's stick to the rice. Right. A protein, some vegetables. Yeah. Thank you very much. Give me a lot of rice. Okay. We took all those into consideration just to honor them. This culture of honoring. Yes. And I mean, to be honest, like it pays off. Yeah. Because we've had people rush to us when they see us. They go, you have no idea. I've been waiting for you the last 2 weeks. Yeah. This is the best meal that I get to eat. Yeah. So you get an opportunity to give a homeless person their best meal, that highlight of their 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, dude, like that is a great feeling. Yeah. And, you know, I think that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to, you know, like really transcend and to honor them in that sense, because guess what? They're not being honored that way. Right. So as SALT, we preserve the marginalized. Yeah. That's awesome. So can you maybe just give us maybe just what sort of events do we have at SALT besides obviously, you know, we have the SALT Kitchen. Yeah. We mentioned about the beach cleanup. Yep. What other sort of activities do we do? We got the biggest one, which is the Giving Tree event coming up. Yes. November 30th. We every year we host basically a big Christmas, you know, almost like a event. Yeah. Where we have a lot of vendors, you know, food vendors. There's some games, you know, it's like the human Christmas tree that you and I were, we were playing. And then what we do is we actually have Christmas trees set up in the room. Right. And on the trees are actual cards. And these cards are basically wishes from orphanages, like I think over 20 organizations all over Taiwan. Yeah. Anywhere from HIV babies to orphanages, to School of the Blind. Basically anybody you can think of that really are marginalized, we include them in there. Yeah. And also not always kids. We also have mentally handicapped adults like Yuchen. So, you know, we usually, you know, put them up and people just show up, take the card, and they pick a card that they want. They go buy the gifts and then bring it back. And then we deliver to these organizations. And it's a beautiful thing we do every year. Yeah. We've got a lot of businesses that are involved with us now. And so we have satellite trees at their businesses. So I would say that's like a pretty big event that we do. And I think it has really influenced Taiwan. Yeah, for sure. This event is one that I've always looked forward to. Yep. Because again, I think, you know, coming out and picking a gift, and you know, that's our main goal. Yeah. That's the most important thing. That's the most important aspect. But along with that, I've always appreciated the community that's established. Obviously,
playing games and like having vendors and stuff there, it adds to the atmosphere and it really gets you into the Christmas mood. So that's one thing that's very cool. I know we also have like other team building and like community building
we got
activities.
like the trivia.
Trivia nights, and then we do F45
workouts. Yeah. So, I think that's what we're trying to do. Is have fun events. We had a Halloween F45 event at Taiwan. That was pretty fun.
Right.
And so we try to keep it fun. But I would say that SALT is a very action-orientated, activity-orientated group.
Right.
We're always doing stuff.
Yeah.
I think we have like probably average maybe at least 3-4 events every month. Almost like one every weekend.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's why we try to keep the community close. And give people something to do. That's healthy. And, good for your body, good for your mind, and good for your
soul.
Yeah, good for the soul. Yeah.
Well, so can you give us, if somebody's watching and they're wanting to like, they've never done anything like it before. They're kind of like first time, they're wondering maybe how can they get involved? What should they do? What's the mindset? Like, can you just give them some advice?
To be honest, just show up.
Yeah.
And I think like I always actually really give people so much props because it's hard to get a spot for a SALT kitchen. And a lot of times people literally show up by themselves.
Yeah.
And I think about how scary that is.
Dude, so brave.
If I'm a dude and I'm going to a space that I don't know anybody.
Exactly.
By myself and I'm sacrificing Saturday morning.
Sure.
So which means I can't go out late at Friday. Saturday at 9 a.m., which means I got to get up at 8 for girls 7.
Or earlier.
And so, that's what I think of when people walk in.
Right.
And I go, man, they may not feel comfortable because, oh man, it's early. They're still tired. So when they walk in, we make sure you get them a warm, hey, welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you hear about us?
Yeah.
And get that conversation flowing just so they feel comfortable.
Yes.
And so that's the culture. That's the culture that we're trying to. So I would say tell people, go sign up and then just roll through.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, SALT is, you can find obviously our information on Instagram, on Facebook, and other places, SALT Collectiv. And it's a great platform that we've both been a part of, obviously being, co-founder, and it's a great group of people. And I think it's doing great work in Taiwan because a lot of us might think, oh, Taiwan's not a third world country. Why do we need nonprofits? But there are people that are still marginalized. There are, like we say, the homeless. And there's people that, even through the homeless ministry, we've made connections with that now you guys actually establish a relationship, which I think is even cooler, not just giving out food, but they know you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I've really been, kind of like really lucky to really know some of these homeless people.
Yeah.
And, I'll just share one last story real quick.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
And so, like, for me, imagine, like, let's say today you and I, and we found out that we had cancer. First thing we do is go to the hospital. All right, what surgery do I need? Let's get this thing rolling out the way.
Yeah.
And so a couple of weeks ago, with one of the homeless ladies that I always, kind of like take care of, with the bentos, I think after spending 2 years now, kind of, talking to her. And so she finally kind of opened up. And it kind of blew me away because she literally said, yeah, I have cancer, stage 2 from last year, probably stage 3 now. And there's probably not much that I will do about it because I got to take care of my own sister. And who's going to take care of me? And I never literally ever thought about like, wow, someone's literally just okay with
living with it
and dying. So that was very heavy for me. And I literally spent like weeks kind of just like thinking about this, and I couldn't get over it. And I was like, wow, they are in such a state that when they face with that, they have to just accept death.
The fate,
Whereas the most of us have treatment.
Right.
When she goes into chemo, who's going to take care of her? Nobody. And then who's going to take care of her sister while she's doing all this stuff? So she has to have those factors to think about, which we don't. And so that really kind of humbled me. Yeah. And really kind of made me like, man, this world is not fair. And there's probably, I can make a difference in everything I'm doing. Right. And so, you know what? That's going to motivate me to want to do even more. Yeah. And so I think that's the kind of humility that I think, working with them, with the homeless people, really can teach us, and just how lucky and how grateful we should be. Yeah, gratitude, man. Yeah. Gratitude through and through. I think every time I serve, I'm grateful. Yeah. And so, if you guys have a chance, please do roll through. Thank you for coming in and sharing the story and stuff.
We appreciate it. And also, if for those of you who didn't watch our previous episode, James and I talked about his award-winning company, Real Digital, on the e-commerce side. So
make
please
sure you watch that first episode.
Yeah. And then do come over and support us at SALT, because we can each all change lives and make a difference.
Absolutely.
So thank you, James.
All right. I'll see you guys at the Giving Tree.
All right. Bye.